I'm back again. Day 2 of my 30-day challenge. And I started thinking about introducing how I introduced my transition to who I am today. But I figured I'd kind of take it back to my transition from a small town Cali girl to Atlanta. I was working for Bank of America close to 4 years, and I remember I had just got a promotion and I was so excited and it was just great. Everything was working out fine. I got into some financial hardships and I ended up losing my car. So, my small town has one Bank of America. The promotion that I received was in another town called Fresno. And there are several Bank of Americas there, but I happened to be working at one off of Shaw Avenue. It's one of the busy streets in Fresno. But I didn't have a car, so here I am with this promotion, trying to figure out how I'm going to get to work 45 minutes away with no car. But I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to quit my job. I wasn't going to tell anybody. I was just going to figure it out. So that's exactly what I did. I figured it out for a few months. It was fine. I ended up taking a train and 2 buses one way to work every day. And it was actually really nice. I got to, when you take public transportation, you get to see different parts of the city that you wouldn't see regularly because you're on the road, you're on the freeway. So taking those different alternative transit options was really eye-opening. I got to see a lot of Fresno. I got to see a lot of Hanford, which is where the train started. And I got to just really have some time for myself. I got to read on the train. Excuse me. And it was really nice. It was really nice. I tuned things out. I was able, not knowing, but I was able to meditate and, think on some things and really, really engage in just myself and my whole being as a whole. So the road less taken came to an end. I got on the wrong bus one morning. Made me late. I was so frustrated because, I was on time. I was early. I remember we had a kind of substitute branch manager, assistant manager, or something like that. And I would wear my work clothes, but just sneakers because, I'm moving. I'm walking all over the place. And it was the day I was late. Had my sneakers on still because usually I would have time to change my shoes before I got into the office. And I didn't have time that day. So he saw my shoes and he kind of chuckled, like kind of teased me about it. And that really, 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 really bothered me because here I am. You don't know, but here I am waking up 3 hours before I even have to be here to travel over an hour to get here, and you're making fun of my shoes because I have to walk. So I was really, really bothered by that. It happened to be an audit day or something, and the whole region manager was there. So he saw how uncomfortable I was and how upset I was, and he started asking me, like, what's going on? What's the situation? Like, why are you wearing these shoes? Things like that. And I started to tell him a little bit about what was going on. And so he was just like, well, why don't you work in Lemoore, which is where I'm from, small town, one Bank of America there. And it just wasn't like, in my mind, back then, I wasn't brave enough and confident enough to ask for what I wanted. It's a whole new season now. But I wasn't back then. So letting him know was really embarrassing, what was going on in my life. And I just knew it was going to be, the talk of the town and whatever business means. Oh yeah, and there's this little girl, she'd be wearing her tennis shoes to work because she got, and I just started assuming that it would be a negative conversation. But it was very positive. It was very positive. I got the change that I needed. I was the very next day, I was to report to Lemoore, which was literally, I could walk there. Like, that's how close it was. And it just, it took me really up to now to see how much time I wasted, first of all, by being too proud and not acknowledging that I need this help. And just not knowing what I wanted. I felt like I had to do that just because that was my job and that was where I was hired and that was what had to be done. But learning that you can change anything in your life. Speaking it out of the tongue, thinking it in the mind, like doing the actions, you can change your life completely. And I'm just really, really humbled by that time in my life because it showed me how much of a hard worker I was, how much integrity I had. And it did teach me some how much prideness I kept within myself. But on the flip side, it also humbled me. And it let me receive help from people. I would always do whatever I could. It may have not always been the most or the best, but I would always try to do whatever I could for people who needed my help. And it was a time in my life where I needed so much help. And just to know that it's not forever. That was my season. That was my humble season because it sure did last a long time. Because it was like, once I get to a place where, okay, you should be a little humble now, then something else will happen to humble me again. So I can instill that in me. Like, all this could be taken away from you. Then what are you going to do? So to kind of fast forward from that point in my life, bringing myself over to Georgia, that came about because the promotion that I was just so happy for, that I worked so hard for, that I was doing like the most to get to and from, the position was deleted. So all throughout Bank of America, that position was no longer available to anyone. And I had two options. I could either demote myself back to where I started, back to square one, or I can take the severance package and just be done with the company totally. And at that time, I just felt like I worked way too hard, that I deserved to move up and forward instead of down and backwards. So I decided to take plan B, get my monies, and what else did I have to lose? Like, literally, I had lost everything. And I traveled just a little bit. I ended up staying with my cousin in Marietta for a couple of months, and we had some fun times. She definitely showed me, around Georgia, Atlanta. We did some traveling together. I got to see different states. And I decided, you know what? This is where I want to be. My original plan was to actually transfer my bank job to Georgia. But since it got deleted, I was just like, screw B of A completely. I'm not even going to make any more efforts towards this company the way they did me. And so I decided to come to Georgia with literally nothing but the clothes on my back. I went home. I want to say it was like around, when I visited, it was summerish. When I left and decided to come back, it was about to be, fall, winter. And so I pretty much went home, back to Cali, changed my clothes, my seasonal clothes, and bought a one-way ticket. And my ducks were not lined up in a row. I had no job. I had no place to live. My unemployment was running out because Bank of America did give me that severance, but unemployment was running out. I was really kind of just winging it, off of a leap of faith, huge leap of faith. And a friend of mine from another sister town back home, she let me know that her job was hiring here at Emory. And she's like, yeah, just give me your resume. I'll give it to my supervisor. And that was it. I had no experience in healthcare, but here I am 4 years later in healthcare. I had no idea how big this Emory name was. And I just got in. I got in the first go round. I see so many people trying. Oh my gosh, you work at Emory. So many people trying to get in. And I'm just like, if I would have never taken that leap of faith and just kept pushing forward, kept moving forward, there's really no telling what I would be doing back at home now. I know it's not meant for everyone to leave their hometown, but I just feel like personally, if I would have never left my hometown, I would have been destructive to myself. I would not have tried to attain more for myself. So I just said all that to say this, that you just never know what's on the other side of the horizon. You just never know how green that grass is on the other side. You just never know what could happen if you put aside all of your doubts and just go for something. And I'm not mad at the decision I made. I was definitely homesick. I was definitely questioning myself. I was definitely lonely. And I wish I would have taken advantage of that loneliness to really search and find my purpose back then when I first got here. But I'm doing that now. I am definitely en route to being who I am supposed to be. And I'm hoping if you're on that same journey that you continue, don't stop, get it.